I left the redwoods and headed towards Mount Diablo for one more night before my nomad life would return to the city. I had a book to design and a concert to go to, but first, a little art.
I just passed 2 gull-wing Ferraris and remembered that Walnut Creek is not exactly not the kind of town where you go into an art gallery dressed like you're a camper. But I'm not exactly dressed for a art gallery, and there is some sort of event that's happening here that has brought quite a few really fancy cars, although I guess that's just kind of this area of California. It is a bit posh. I do remember being broke and feeling quite utterly poor in college. Okay, so a big reason why I chose to come to Walnut Creek is because my best friend has a sculpture, a bronze, that is being shown at the Bedford Gallery. So I am going in to take a look because I missed the opening, and her work is so fantastic. I have to go see it on display.
I never would have guessed that a petite bronze named Hog Squash would be the reason that I would first camp at Mount Diablo. But it was the nearest state park to the gallery. It just happened to be closed the only 2 nights I was camping. So this little do-over felt like a mile marker on the long road ahead. Beyond Color was an exhibition of artwork from 80 artists of various mediums, all exploring the way artists harness stark contrast and gradations, using only black and white to convey profound emotion and intricate detail. I remember Sally feeling like this particular piece was very small for the scale of the show. I know I'm biased, but I don't believe any work that she ever does is small. And I'm in awe at the delicate work in the details. Having a friend who's inventing this new artistic life is so inspiring. Her pieces spark conversation, and to me often connect to the experience of being a woman. What I love about Sally is that she shows the whole process, not just the finished bronze, but the clay and the molds and the foundry work that it takes, and knowing that even her small pieces take an enormous amount of work and planning. It's a work of art with multiple phases, and the story behind it, I think, makes it huge. I headed back up to Mount Diablo, and I was so excited. I managed to score campsite number 18, which has an amazing view. I could tell it was a little windier than last time, but I was more confident. It's amazing what 2 weeks can do. I was determined to film myself setting up the tent, no matter how ridiculous. I knew the sunset would be beautiful because unfortunately there was a lot of smoke in the air. The Ponderosa fire and the Gifford fire had me thinking about Smokey the Bear again. Maybe it was park rangers at the gate reminding me we were definitely in the red. Why did the wild turkeys cross the road? so many spiders. For real. It's just like spiders everywhere, and that is so not okay for me. I am too arachnophobic. Maybe it's just because it's afternoon shade.
Her glassy eyes, to your surprise, to see the cyanide when you watch the sun recede on the hospital floor, and then she grabbed your arm and asked for more. And don't forget what your grandmother said.
I know I need to move my tent and stake it down because it gets really windy here, but I'm not putting it in the spider den until they leave, if they leave. The spot that I have it is just super slanted, so I know I won't be comfortable. That right there, that's a flat spot with a great view. So we'll see. Yeah, TBD.
What your grandmother said, sitting on your stairwell, combing your hair.
This afternoon, the air is just starting to cool off. A lot of buzzing bugs, and thinking it was a really long day of driving. I came back and I got a bird guide. Very excited. I drove like a bat out of hell so that I could get to the visitor center before it closed. I have 10 whole minutes. And the sweet guy that worked there talked about puppets. Yeah. I should look for these guys. That is so creepy. Oh. So, yeah, spiders were on the brain, but what I saw wasn't tarantulas, at least. It was definitely a nest, which doesn't make it any better. There's lots of info and art at the Visitors Center, puppets and guidebooks, and a great documentary on the origins of the entire region and the conservationists who created the park in the 1920s. So now I'm looking at birds. I'm probably getting sunburned even though it's evening, but I will move my chair again. At first, I couldn't tell what I was looking at. I saw a man pass by earlier, but he wasn't wearing any gear. Then I saw the parachute and I jumped up with my phone. I watched him try a few times to catch the wind. It looked really difficult. It was also clear that he studied the air. I kept thinking, the man is probably so smart and also completely crazy. And then suddenly he was airborne and I felt like, I don't know, like I couldn't catch my breath. I imagined how exhilarating it is. I immediately wanted to go. It looked like the ultimate freedom. Now, mind you, I'm terrified of heights, so There's no way I would probably be doing that, but it's tempting. As much as the wind was a bit of a pain in the ass with the tent, it clearly gives that man such freedom. Although he clearly knows what he's doing, calculating everything. I never did see where he landed. I appreciated the show right before the main event. Later that night, some young campers showed up and started a campfire. I spent far too long trying to report it, calling many phone numbers, one that sent me all the way to Sacramento, and I felt like an old, unfun person, tattling, ruining their night. But after the Redwoods and Smokey the Bear and having known friends in Los Angeles who lost their homes just in January from the fires, I couldn't pretend that that kind of freedom and neglect is a charming thing. Some risks are really beautiful and some are just stupid. And it only takes one spark to ruin a lot of lives. And I won't get into how irritating the people on the phone were or how terrible I felt the whole night being a killjoy. But laying in my tent under the stars with the wind blowing, it was absolutely magical. I got my camera out and I kept the tent zipped because of the damn